My wife slept with my best friend and now wants to work things out. I, 36 male, have been with my wife, 35 female, for 17 years. We have 3 children together. I was always of the mindset that I wanted monogamy in life. One woman to come home to and that I'd be with for the long haul. I had women try to talk to me over the years, but I never pursued it because I was completely contented in my marriage. My wife was my dream girl and I never wanted to hurt her. Over the years, there was 2 occasions where I discovered she was being unfaithful in our marriage. One was an off and a one again affair that lasted a few years with her married coworker, and the other was flying with an ex she dated in high school when she went to visit her family states away. I'm sure there will be people who say I'm stupid, which looking back I can't even deny myself, but after a period of separation with past situations, I decided to forgive my wife and I never wanted to raise my children in a broken home like I had been, and I really felt like we could make it through it. We were young wherever the situation with her coworker happened, so I chalked it up to being young and making dumb choices without thinking. For a while things were seeming okay. I never fully trusted her, but I tried my best to push back my doubts because I knew if I decided to forgive her, then I had to do my best to move past it and have a clean state. It's been 4 years since, and second time she's been unfaithful, and I felt like I made the right decision by letting her have the chance to show she still wanted to be in our marriage. She was a different person for years, and we were happy and even had various things set in motion for the future of our family. However, 2 months ago my reality was once again shattered by yet another incident which in my mind was by far worse than the others. I ended up receiving a message from one of my best friend's wives. This friend knew my wife a little. He'd met her in person, but it wasn't like we all hung out together or anything like that for me to even worry about them. We worked together, so there was sometimes my wife would bring him up multiple times while we were talking about work. She would bring me coffee to work and also one for him. I noticed when she did she dressed in more revealing clothing than she usually wore, but I never commented on it. She even convinced me that we should buy him a joint birthday present and take him out for drinks on his birthday. Just little things like that which were obviously weird, but like I said, I didn't think I had anything to worry about with either of them. To my knowledge, he had a good marriage with his wife. He never spoke badly about it, so I didn't think he had any interest in either. Not to mention we've actually been friends for a very long time and I trusted him. I'd make comments in a joking way to my wife about how she took too much of an interest in him, and she loved it, of saying she just wanted to have another couple to be friends with. She never actually tried to plan anything as far as to hang out with him and his wife as a couple. I agreed they would be a good to be friends with, so again I never thought too much into the overall friendliness for my wife with him. Turns out I was way wrong not to because I was met with multiple screenshots implying they were engaged in a full-out affair. I wanted to get my proof situated before I ended up of confronting my wife because I didn't want her to have the opportunity to manipulate the situation or try to lie her way out of it. So I started to go through call logs, credit statements, etc. Because I didn't know how far this actually went past the social media screenshots I saw. When the truth came out, neither of them tried to lie to me about it. I found out they were sneaking off to hotels when she was supposed to be doing doubles at work and he was supposed to be off with family. And that my friend would leave work to go see her and her job basically every day for a month, and she'd meet up with him on his lunch breaks. They were even planning a weekend at a hotel for the next weekend before the truth came out. I obviously cut ties with my friend and honestly I have no idea what to do about my situation with my wife. The affair ended and my wife apologized, profusely saying she just got carried away. She said that she'd felt lacking in our marriage with both of us dedicated so much time to work, other things, and that my friends were there a nice guy. She said she let herself envy the way he treated his wife and wished she could have had that with me but was afraid to tell me I wasn't doing enough in our marriage. So in her words, she made a mistake and that she didn't know how to end it once it started. For now, we're living in the same house because realistically, neither of us have the means to live right now as her family doesn't leave her. Plus the cost of renting and houses there are absurd. And on top of that, we still have our children in our house who are all still in school. She's basically trying to do anything to keep me around, including telling me I can see women casually outside of our marriage as long as I come home to her. She would never told it against me as cheating. I told her that's not much of a marriage, and it's certainly not anything I ever set out to have, but she's hell-bent on keeping our family together by any means. She's even brought up how we shouldn't let our kids live in a broken home because of our marital issues. I guess my wife is under the impression that nothing could make me want out of this marriage, and that's by offering things like that. She thinks we'll fix our marriage. I guess in a way that is my fault for letting so much slide in the past. I do love her in some ways, but at this point, I think the love is more just from the facts we have kids together, and that's I've been with her for nearly 2 decades rather than feelings of being in love. My self-confidence is low, and my wife is out of my league, but still I don't think that's enough of a reason to stay. She claims she loves me and doesn't want to lose all we've built and are building toward, but to me I just can't see how that can be true when she was so okay with running around with one of my only friends. I can't trust her. To me her words is meaningless. I forgive her then. How long until she goes and does it again? I do think people can make mistakes, and I be forgiven because people are flawed. But this isn't just one slip up. And truth be told, my faith in her is so low, I don't even know if there's been more instances on top of the ones I actually know about. My mental state is essentially a puddle of mine right now. I'm sure there is probably someone reading this calling me a dumbass, and I can't even argue that, but yeah, basically my life is a shit show and I don't know how to proceed. Edit. I'm not staying with my wife. I should have clarified that better. Me saying I don't know how to proceed is more talking about how to go about handling this with my children. I've never dealt with anything legal, so the stress of having to meet with lawyers and also not knowing how to go about our living situation. I have enough proof that my wife couldn't flip the switch and take everything from me. But as a guy, that's always something you have to worry about. Story 2. Am I the asshole for telling my wife I want a divorce after she gave me a concussion? After work I was playing with my son and went to the kitchen to throw out a diaper. When I walked into the room, my wife started shooting at me, claiming I hadn't been doing anything since I got home. Mind you, I just spent 2 hours cleaning the kitchen, washing dishes, picking up the living room and putting my daughter to bed before going to the living room to play with my son while I continued to pick up. I was frustrated by her comment and asked her what she meant and outlined everything I had been doing. I left the room and started to walk up the stairs to my living room. I was struck in the side of head with a sealed cardboard box weighing about 2 pounds. This from about 15 feet away and thrown at full force, so I was dazed for a moment. After confronting her about why she did this, she continued to yell at me and didn't show any concern. Upset and in quite a bit of pain, I went to sit with my son and process what had just happened. After about 45 minutes, I was experiencing a growing headache and having some problems with the muscles in the right side of my face and jaw. I gave her my son and told her I had to go to the ER because something wasn't right. I ended up spending the night in a hotel and the next day began contacting resources and scheduling follow medical and mental health appointments. The headache lasted 8 days and I experienced a wide range of symptoms related to a head injury. I missed over a full week of work and it has been a pretty difficult experience navigating at all my emotions while recovering and experiencing some bizarre cognitive issues. Needless to say, I've been keeping my distance from my wife while I've been recovering. Over the last few years, I've also been dealing with regular emotional abuse in the form of insults, constant belittling and threats of divorce. This is probably the 6th incident of violent behavior from her in the last 7 years, and the only time she had used an object and I have serious concern that she could have just as easily thrown something that could have broken my skull. I'm now seriously concerned about what will happen next time, and I'm not willing to wait and find out only to realize I should have left long ago. She has no diagnosed mental health disorders, but how out of control she is when she is angry is now very alarming, and it seems to be escalating. Additionally, she refused to apologize for any of her words or actions since I met her, even after a diagnosed concussion. All she will say regarding this event are things like, I didn't mean it, I can't aim that well. Over the last week, I was essentially living in a blacked out bedroom and listening to audiobooks between my frequent naps. Up to yesterday, I have avoided engaging her in conversation or anything that seems like I'm being baited into an argument. I don't have the mental or emotional capability to handle an emotionally charged conversation and wanted to focus on my recovery. Last night I told her I've been walking on eggshells around her for the last year. I'm not comfortable being around her and don't see there being any way to mend their relationship after this. I just don't see myself being able to emotionally open up to someone who has injured me ever. Her response has been to schedule marriage counseling, and she keeps making strange comments about how I have to be willing to make it work for counseling to be effective. She don't seem to have the ability to understand that she won't ever be water under the bridge, and that she's destroyed that was left of our relationship, which isn't much as there has been no physical intimacy. In 2 years, due to some medical complications from the pregnancy and birth of our son, she refuses any physical contact, and lately I have been struggling with this idea of continuing to live this strange celibate lifestyle for the snake of maintaining a stable home for my children. I've been open about this with my close friends and mentors, and now I need to leave because domestic violence rarely stops, and want better for myself and my children. I decided to pursue divorcing her, and I think a large part of telling so many people is to force my own hand due to the embarrassment and shame that staying with her would cause. I told the therapist this and that I want his help navigating toward this goal, but I'm having a very hard time. I'm struggling with the idea of tearing my family apart and the effect it will have on my 4-year-old daughter. Today she was being unusually sweet and wanted to sit with me. When I refused, she made me out and be the asshole and accused me of not wanting to try. I feel like I'm being heavily manipulated and my desire to be the peacemaker and nurturer is being twisted against me. When I mentioned this, she got highly offended and accused me of wanting to destroy our family. This has been a wild experience and has been difficult to process. I have no experience with emotional or physical abuse in a relationship prior to this. Am I being the asshole for refusing to entertain opening up to her or participate in couples therapy due to fear of being manipulated? Should I stick to what I know to do intellectually and totally ignore my emotions and stick to my initial instinct to leave her? Thank you for watching, leave a comment and see you next video.